Today, we're going to learn about the turn. It's another one of those ornaments that we add to music that are not essential. Like you can understand the music, the melody's fine without an ornament, but the ornament makes things prettier. It makes life better and that sort of thing. It has an Italian name, just like pretty much everything else. In English, we call it a turn. In Italian, it's called gruppetto. Gruppetto. All right. It's basically an ornament that's got 4 notes. All righty. So what does a turn look like? It looks like that. Kind of like the letter S, but turned on its side and kind of flipped over. So it's got a downward, a scoop up, and another down like that. Okay. And basically it tells you when it's on top of a note, it tells you. So here in this case, it's on top of a C, right? So it tells you instead of just playing that C, the composer is saying, I want you to play the note above the C, then play the C, play the note below the C, and then go back to the C. So the gruppetto, or the turn, is a set of 4 notes. Okay? And we accomplish that just by putting that sign on top of the note. Okay? So the usual questions are, which note do you choose? Do you choose the note directly above, which would be that black key, or the white key? And as is the case with all of the other ornaments, you stay in the key of whatever piece you're playing. In this case, if you look at the beginning of that line, there are no sharps and no flats. So we're probably in key of C. That means we have no sharps and no flats. So we're going to choose our notes from the key of C. Meaning in the piano, if you're playing piano, all the white keys are available to you. So I would not play because there's no D flat or C sharp in the key signature, right? So I would choose the notes from the C scale. Now, this has a slight modification. I just want to clarify here that my videos are intended to give the average pianist tools that you can use to help you understand the music you're looking at, how to play it best for your needs. My videos are not for music theorists or people who are really like researching the history of this sort of thing. And the reason I say that is because if you look into it, and I always look into stuff before I make a video, just to make sure that I have the right information and I'm not forgetting anything. Because I don't know everything, right? Maybe I learned something wrong at some point, or I'm remembering it incorrectly, or I never even knew about a particular thing. So I always do some research before, jumping in front of you. And in my research, oh my goodness, you can do the research if you like, but there are like pages of rules about turns, about gruppettos. I'm not going to go into those. So if you're a music historian or anything like that, you're probably not watching this. But if you're going to be like, actually, save it. This is for the average pianist to get the most out of their piano hobby, or even someone who's doing it more seriously if they're just looking for like the general idea. Okay. All right. So having said that, the gruppetto, or the turn, when it's written on top of the note, means that you start on the note above, play the note, the big note that's written, play the note below, and the note, the big note. So what I was saying was you choose the note above from whatever key you're in. The note below has a little more nuance to it. You can choose from the key that you're in. Some schools of thought, however, say that it's best to keep that interval as small as possible. So keep it a half step, regardless of what key you're in. So let's say I'm in the key of, let's see, G major. Okay. And my note is a D. and I have a regular turn. So the general rule would be to stick in the key of whatever you're in. But you see, that sounds kind of wrong. It's not wrong. It could be wrong, depending on the context. So what I would probably do is just go ahead and insert a C sharp in there. You see how that sounds good? The other one's not bad either. I'll show you. I'm just making this up, okay? It's not anybody's composition. You see? So I like bent the rule. I added my own accidental because I thought it sounded better. But if I'm going for a particular sound, like let's say I want some kind of like medieval sounding thing, could work too, right? So it's very dependent on the situation, on the context. If you're an adult pianist who has a busy life, don't we all? But you still want to get the most you can from your piano hobby, I invite you to check out my online piano school called the All Access Pass. There you'll find all the tools you need to help you reach your piano goals. It gives you structure and accountability, and you have unlimited access to all of my courses, tutorials, masterclasses, plus a brand new 3-minute warm-up every single day. You can even check out a free sampling of some of the courses for 7 days. Click the link below and get started today. So here, you see that the turn is written on top of the G and then on top of the D. And underneath it, you see how you would actually play it. I'm going to play the top line without ignoring that turn. Okay? Now, I'm going to play it the way that it's supposed to be played with the turn. See? It's like right on the beat. How fast you play it, again, depends on how fast the piece is, how long the note is, that sort of thing. So you can't take things out of context and say like, it's always like that. If somebody tells you that about a rule in music, you really want to question what they're saying. I'm sure it exists that something is always a certain way. I have no doubt. Like, for example, a quarter note is always twice as long as an eighth note. That's a mathematical ratio. Unless, see, it's not, unless you're playing rubato. Rubato means playing around with the melody, getting faster and slower. In that case, it wouldn't be because, again, in context. So if you've got a thing that is always the case, like a rule that is always 100% true in music, let me know in the comments. I would like to know. It's not a challenge. I want to be educated, okay? What if the turn isn't on the note, but it comes after the note? So if you look at the top line, you'll see that there's an A flat, right? We've got 4 flats in the key signature. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. So my first note is A flat, but the turn isn't on top of the A flat. It's after. So what you do then, the grubbetto, the turn, is still 4 notes. It's still this. But it comes after you play the big note. So you play the A flat, then you play the turn. Right? If the turn had been right on top of that A flat, it would have been like this. But it's not. It's after. It's to the right. So you play the A flat first, then you do the turn. A flat, A flat, and then you do the turn. B flat, A flat, G, A flat. And then you move on. Okay? So that adagio means it's slow. So it's 1, 2. Let's pretend that's the tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now, prestissimo, prestissimo. That means really, really fast. Okay, so we're still in the same key. E flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. It's got that C, and then you have a turn, and then you've got the next C up. So let's say, and it's in cut time. If you don't know what that means, I have a video that explains cut time, all that stuff. I'll link it below. So cut time, you're counting into 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or 1. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, right? Just pretty fast. Now, that's easy for me to play because I've actually worked on practicing turns. If you've done Become a Piano Superhero, there are a couple of exercises there that are working turns, that are focused on turns. You probably didn't know that's what it was, but that's what it was. I was teaching you how to play turns. I can't remember off the top of my head which exercise it is, but if you know it, let me know. Oh, I just realized this. Okay, well, whatever. Does that make sense? So you have to look at the context of the piece. How fast is it? And how much time do you have before the next note? You'll notice the one that's prestissimo, that's a half note. And you would think of a half note as a pretty long note, but prestissimo is fast. So that whole note, did I say whole note? It's a whole note. So you would think of a whole note as a pretty long note. But if it's prestissimo, time's going fast, baby. It's not going to be very long. Okay? Sometimes the composer will not put the turn sign. They'll actually write out the turn. So if you look at the top line, we've got an F. Then we have 3 little notes. G, F, E, and then a big F. So if you look at this G, F, E, F as a turn, you will see where it is. Right? I'm not moving on. F is a big note. Then imagine the turn sign after the F. That's what you have here, but it's written out. G, F, E, F. Okay? So 1 and 2 and 3 and, let me do it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's how it's written. And then Mozart loves his turns. So does Chopin. It's just such a really elegant little ornament. You know, it's beautiful. So the second one, again, he wrote out, this is Mozart's piece, he wrote out the turn. He didn't put the sign, he wrote it out. It's legitimate, it's fine. That's what it is. I didn't do it in time, but basically it's E, then he's got the turn. Right? Above the note, below the note. Then moving on. If I did it in time, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I count with the ands, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'm going really slow. Let me go a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Turns are a lot of fun to play once you understand that how to work your muscles around them. Okay? Now, what if we want a particular note to be played above the turn on the top note? Then we add an accidental. So in this case, we've got a B flat, E flat, A flat in the key signature. Our turn is on a C. So if we're playing, we're in the key of E flat. We've got a D natural. So if we were to play it and ignore that flat above the turn, it would sound like this. Boom. But we've got the flat on top. That means the upper note is going to be flat. That sounds better, doesn't it? So in this case, we're not sticking to the key because it sounds weird. No. Add the flat on top. Yes. Okay? So if you see the flat or sharp above the turn sign, that means the upper note of the turn is going to be modified, either sharp or flat. It could even be natural, right? It could be canceling out if there's already a sharp or a flat there. If you look at the second full measure, this is Opus 9, number 2, you'll see that the turn has, it's got a flat on top and a natural on the bottom. So in this measure, I can't see. So we've got the C, we've got the D flat because we have a flat on top of the turn, and then we've got a natural on the lower note of the turn, which makes it a B natural. Yeah, there we go. I can't see the microphone. Let me move it for a second. Okay. Does that make sense? So you have to use your ears, your eyes, and your knowledge of music theory. Music theory, if you know how to use it, saves you lots of time and trouble. If you don't know how to use it or don't know anything about music theory, you end up being confused a lot, which probably isn't what you want when you're playing piano for fun, because being confused is not fun, I think. Now I'm going to show you something that is really cool. It's called an inverted turn. There it is. Do you remember when we had a mordant and we see a line going through the mordant? It would be the inverted mordant. Okay, same thing here in the inverted turn. If you don't know what a mordant is, I'll link the mordant video also. So normally the turn, if we ignore what we're seeing, the turn on the C would be upper note, C, lower note, C, right? 4 notes. So if we ignore what we're seeing, it would be, but now we're not going to ignore what we're seeing, which is the turn with a line through it. That tells you, give it kind of like a mirror image. So instead of starting on the upper note, you start on the lower note, play the note that's there, go up 1 note, and then back to the note. Very pretty. Here is the regular turn. Here's the inverted turn. They're both really nice, right? Sometimes you'll see the inverted turn not with a slash through it, but it'll be like a regular turn kind of flipped around. I see this one more often, so I didn't even bother. But, you know, if you see one that doesn't look right, it's probably an inverted turn. Okay? And my camera's going crazy. It's not focusing on my face. There you go. Okay. So here's my usual disclaimer. It's really good to learn this stuff. It's great to be informed, especially with a hobby as complex as playing music and playing the piano. Playing the piano involves, you know, all 10 digits doing different things potentially, both hands having their own roles to play, right? So it requires not only like understanding stuff, but actually practicing it to be able to do it. I always say, you can explain for me as much as you want how to do a triple somersault. I understand the physics. I get it. Can my body do it? Not even close. Not even close. Why? I haven't taught my muscles and joints and tendons to move that way. I haven't taught my brain to communicate with my body in that particular way, right? So it's really good to understand. Then you have to put it to use. Now, I'll give you a little tidbit here, a tip. Most people try to use knowledge gained, I'll say most adults, and apply it immediately to something super high level. And then they say, well, I don't get it. Yes, because you try to jump several levels of a building at once. understand a concept, and then find the most simple and easy place that you can apply it. Start there. I know as an adult, you're used to having a certain knowledge base, skill set base, and you don't want to do the easy stuff because that's not what you want to do in piano. But you can't ignore the learning process that we all have to go through. Even the geniuses have to learn things from the bottom up. Okay? I can talk about geniuses all day long, but really they just spend a whole lot of time and interest doing that thing. All right? So whatever you're learning in these videos, go find a simple piece, like a beginner Bach book or Mozart. Don't jump to, like the hardest thing you can find and say, oh man, I can't do this. That's not how this works, guys. All right. Well, thanks for being here. That's it for today. Go check out my new Christmas music if you're wanting to play Christmas music. And I will see you later. All right. Bye, everybody. I'm going to end now. Bye.